The video shows Christian pilgrims carrying a cross onto the Via Dolorosa, the traditional route Jesus walked to Calvary. As they walked out, Orthodox men and boys spit on the ground. The incident took place here at the first station of the cross, where many Christians retraced the steps of Jesus on the way to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, believed to be the place where Jesus was buried and rose again. When the video hit social media, reaction from Israeli and Jewish leaders quickly followed, including Israel's chief rabbis and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who stated offensive behavior towards worshipers is a desecration and is unacceptable. We will show zero tolerance toward any harm to worshipers.
Shalom everyone, welcome to Messianic News Channel. First of all, I want to send a happy Sukkot Feast of Tabernacles to everyone on earth, and shalom and blessings to everyone. So I need to give you a very special update of what's going on with the current Gaza war between the Palestinians and Israelis. First of all, pray for the land, pray for peace, pray for the innocent, for children, pray for the Jewish people that they will be protected, pray for Muslims that they will find salvation and peace in Yeshua. So keep the land definitely in prayer. A lot is happening. But now I'm going to give you the prophetic introduction to what's happening with this conflict. First of all, there's a passage in the Bible that says, when they cry, peace, peace, or peace and safety, behold, sudden destruction comes. And we are witnessing the literal fulfillment of this scripture, because just recently Israel did a historical peace agreement with different Muslim nations, the Emirates and Morocco and Qatar, and was on its way to make a peace agreement with Saudi Arabia. That was a tremendous diplomatic achievement for Israel. But as these peace agreements were moving forward, especially with Saudi Arabia, boom, suddenly the war breaks out at a very symbolic timing, which is exactly 50 years after the Yom Kippur War. 50 stands for a jubilee. It's a very prophetic number. 50 years ago, it fell on Yom Kippur. Now, 50 years later, it's falling on the last day of Sukkot. Something very, very symbolic. But let's have a prophetic understanding of what has been happening throughout each major war in history. So prophecy will always go around Israel, will go around the Hebrew people. Whenever you see a big gathering of Jews or a big thing happening to the Jews, you know that it's part of a prophetic event. So every single war in human history had a direct impact in Israel and had a deep, deep prophetic and spiritual meaning. So let's go back to First World War. Back in First World War, European powers had a lot of colonies. It was a complete different world, a complete different array, a complete different economy. But something striking happened. The Ottoman Empire was defeated, and after almost 5 centuries of occupation, the British conquered Israel, and the Prime Minister of Britain happened to be a Jewish guy, and they issued the Balfour Declaration stating that the Jews could come back to Israel. So that was tremendous. For the first time in almost 2,000 years, now the Jews could come to Israel, and for the first time in about 700 years, Israel was not occupied by Muslim forces. Pretty much the Muslim powers were defeated after about 13 centuries of power in the whole Middle East. So that was a historical landmark. A lot of prophetic things were happening, and actually many pastors were announcing that that was the beginning of the end of days, of Israel coming back to the land, because Israel is a prophetic clock. But still, Israel was very immature. It was barely blossoming. It was just like a small tree in the middle of a desert. So back then there were just few kibbutzim, few Jewish settlements here and there. So there needed to come another cataclysmic event, and that was Second World War. So during Second World War, during the Holocaust, the Jewish people were desperate, to look for a homeland, because back in First World War, Jews still enjoy a very high standard of living in Europe. Many Jews were very well off. They had factories, they had businesses, so there was no intention for a mass migration to Israel. So during First World War, it was just some kibbutzim, and the British conquered the land. But after Second World War, hundreds of thousands of Jews were forced to move to Israel because of the Holocaust. They declared the independence. They had a little military encounter with the British. The British left. Israel declared its independence. Israel was attacked by all of its Muslim neighbors. By miracle, Israel won that war. So now we have an independent state of Israel in the Middle East after 2,000 years. But still, Israel was just a fraction of what it is today, and they didn't have Jerusalem in their hands. So then it comes the 1967 conflict, the Six-Day War. Israel wins that Six-Day War and conquers Jerusalem and conquers the area of the Temple Mount, where the ancient temple of Solomon used to stand, and also the second temple, and also the temple of Herod that Yeshua used to visit every feast. So that was a historical landmark. For the first time in about 2,000 years, Israel had sovereignty over all of Jerusalem and had the Temple Mount in its hands. So then it came the Yom Kippur War, and Israel went on to conquer different areas of the West Bank. But now, what is it missing? The missing link is now the third temple. So we have seen how through every major war in human history, Israel has been coming to the land, has been declaring independence, has been conquering territory, has been conquering Jerusalem and the Temple Mount. So now the missing link is going to be to build the third temple. And that's what's going to happen after this war. So everything you're witnessing right now is just preparation for the third temple. Nevertheless, Israel is not perfect, and there are a lot of things to be fixed. So after giving you this prophetic background, now I'm going to go also with some ethical and political and also spiritual background. Just recently, before this war with Gaza, Netanyahu made an alliance with a lot of ultra-Orthodox parties, and they were treating believers, Messianics, Christians very bad. They burned up a church. They broke into another church. They were deporting believers without reason. It was getting out of control. And recently there was a viral video showing you how some Orthodox Jews were spitting on Christians. So when you go against the Father's people, you lose your immunity. When Israel behaves in such a wicked and reckless way, you lose the immunity. So right after these events, it comes the war with the Palestinians, the Palestinian invasion of Israel, and they captured, sadly, some Israeli civilians, and now the Israeli civilians that they kidnap, they are probably spitting in their faces, and they are probably beating them up, and everything that the Orthodox were doing to Messianics and Christian pilgrims, now sadly the Jews are suffering that, and most of the time innocent people pay for the broken glasses of corrupt, fanatic Orthodox rabbis. So this is what's happening on a political and spiritual realm. Israel is moving towards the building of the third temple, and that will usher the the time of the Antichrist. So we are very, very close of the end of days. Now, this war is not going to be something that is going to last 2-3 days or whatever. It's going to have ramifications. Hezbollah is arming in the north in Lebanon. Iran is ready to launch an attack on Israel. Israel will retaliate in a huge proportion to give a lesson to the Palestinians for invading, and this is going to send shockwaves throughout the Arab world. So Iran is going to keep financing militants, and this is going to spiral out of control. I don't know when, if it's going to be, months, weeks, 1 year, whatever, but the ramifications will bring the conflict in the Middle East that people have been prophesying for a very long time, that the Bible has been prophesying, that will usher the construction of the third temple and the coming of the Antichrist. So we have come to the end of days. Pray, be sobered, don't sleep, because much is happening. And stay tuned for more Messianic news updates. Shalom and blessings to all.